All right, welcome to the second video of Schwaboglot Productions. I'm Greg Schwab. I'm here with Greg Gross, who is a Spanish teacher from Fort Worth, Texas. Is that right?
I live in Fort Worth, Texas. I teach at a little school right outside of Fort Worth, though.
And Greg's Twitter handle is right below here. He's at ProfeGross. And we are here at the TPRS Publishing Conference, the IFLT conference in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we're actually here because of networking on Twitter. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of teachers using Twitter for professional development and networking, and the awesome results that can come of it. I believe that I don't know when we became friends exactly on Twitter. Was that
About a year ago.
About a year ago. About a year ago, I had a few students that convinced me to get on Twitter, and originally the Twitter use was mainly just following events at the school that I teach at. But then I started adding different Spanish teachers, and I think that's how we got in contact with each other. I have just discovered CI, like what was that, like in February of 2016. We were talking about YouTube polyglots like Benny the Irish Polyglot and Moses.
Yeah.
And then you tried the shadowing technique in your classroom.
Yeah, because what you were talking about was something that in 13 years as a Spanish teacher I had never seen done before in a classroom, and hadn't even heard of the whole polyglot community. So when I saw an opportunity to perhaps help my students in some way, I always jump on it. And this was just so novel that I had to try it and get more information.
Yeah, and you can check my video out on shadowing in the world language classroom. I'm currently don't know really where that would fit in with the comprehensible input framework, but that's something that I'd like to develop in the future. But then I believe that because I do know that during the Christmas break of this past school year, I discovered a video of Dr. Krashen on YouTube, and then on language acquisition, and then I sent him an email asking, like, okay, well, I like your theories, but what do you do in practice? And then he said go to a Blaine Ray conference. But then you said the same thing, like around the same time. It was really strange how everything just kind of converged.
I actually tried TPRS about 8 years ago and didn't have a good experience with it because I was trying to do it on my own, and so I dismissed it as an ineffective method.
No, wait, Sarah.
And
you're on the wrong side. I gotta go on the other side. I made a mistake. I thought that was my fault.
so I had kind of a rough year, and I was looking for not just new methods, but I was looking a way to just get out of the school for and have some breaks. So I signed up for Blaine Ray seminar. It was 2 days. I could have a little relaxed time and figure some things out. And in those 2 days, Blaine Ray taught 1 hour of German each day, and then assessed us with a speed write, a timed write, where you write for 5 minutes nonstop. And in 2 hours of instruction, I wrote a 95-word story in 5 minutes, and that was my hook. I was absolutely enthralled, because if I can learn a language that fast, why on earth wouldn't I do that for my students? And so I started doing the research right there.
Right. So how are you currently using, or this past year after you discovered it, what did you do to implement that in your classroom?
I started using, I've always been a big fan of Senor Woolley, and he has some pre-made TPRS stories to go along with his fantastic music videos, if you haven't seen them. And
Well, self-promotion, I was actually an extra in his Los Quehaceres video.
Yes,
so.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'm
so
the
jealous.
teacher who's taking selfies in the teacher's lounge. But yes, I've heard Senor Woolley is jumping on the TPRS train too.
He's kind of always been there, but it seems like he's really developing with an eye to it. When he relaunched his website, the sheer amount of CI in there is enough to span the curriculum for a whole year on its own. But he has a great video, Puedo ir al baño, and he had a story ask situation with all the questions already written out.
Oh, really?
So I gave it a try and just used those stock questions, and I kind of became familiar with it. And then I tried it a little bit more a week or two later. I wrote a story that went with the vocabulary I'd already established that I was going to teach for that time period. And my personal story that I let the students, change and mix up a little bit was just overwhelmingly popular. It was probably the most popular lesson that I gave.
And that was one of your own stories?
Yeah, and it was one that I created. It was about a rabbit who likes to go to a restaurant, and my students decided that the rabbit went to Chicken Express because he liked chicken strips.
Okay.
And which Chicken Express is a Texas thing. Just it's up there with football almost.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So based on that success, even though I'd already planned out a brand new curriculum for the year, start to finish, which was, I can't tell you how many hours of planning it was. I decided that when we got back from semester break, I was going to go 100% CI, and if I failed, I had something I could go back to.
Mm-hmm.
But
so how many different levels were you teaching at the time?
I teach 2 to 3 levels. Well, 2 honors, 3, and if there's any kids, a 4th.
Wow.
But the past year, I didn't have any kids who wanted to continue on to 4. There's some reasons why kids would want to be in the level 3 because it lets them get a distinguished graduation. But there was no impetus to get into 4 unless you really loved the language. So it's just another thing. There weren't enough kids who loved the language. And
have you seen that enrollment kind of go up after you did the CI?
Huge amount, yeah. I had 13 kids in my Spanish 3, and at least 10 out of the 13 are going into Spanish 4.
Wow.
I'm fairly certain I will double, if not more, that enrollment for Spanish 3. There's 13 kids. I'm expecting well over 30 this next time. So the kids are coming because they enjoy it. I even have kids who told me they hated Spanish at the beginning of the year, and then once I flipped, they loved it so much, especially the reading, that even though some of them are 504, so have some learning disabilities, they're coming into Spanish 3 just because they enjoyed it so much. So when I flipped, I actually bought over the Christmas break. I bought a couple of established curriculums, Cuentos Fantásticos and Martina Bex's level 2 curriculum.
Who does the Cuentos Fantásticos?
I don't remember her name, honestly. It's been so long since I used them. I spent the last half of the semester only on Martina's stuff, but they were both great. They both gave me lots of ideas and practice on story asking, and so I got on Twitter and I started following all the major people and adding in, and it's definitely been my most successful year to date.
Yeah, I think Martina Bex is definitely, like, her site or blog, The Comprehensible Classroom. That's really like the go-to place if you're starting out, because like I found myself in the situation where I wanted to implement some of this kind of stuff, but I'm still not confident in my story asking abilities. And so she has a lot of activities that kind of look like the more traditional activities, but she always makes sure that the students are engaging with the text and attending to the meaning, and it's not just like manipulating grammar and all that.
Yeah, but she actually creates some things that are CI based that also have the grammar embedded in it, like preterite tense, for example, if you want to use it.
Right. If you want to use the grammar to kind of.
Yes.
Like your curriculum is based on grammar, then you can use her materials.
If you want to
too.
focus
Yeah.
on one little specific point, you can. I mean, it's very flexible, and that's what I like about comprehensible input.
So, yeah, back to this Twitter, because I wanted to talk a little bit more broadly, just in general, about, what are the ways as a teacher that you use Twitter?
So I started off. I was at a conference or a training with Alan November, who's one of the country's best tech trainers, and this was 3 years ago now. And he said, "You need to be on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, you're a fool." And so I created a Twitter account, and then I did absolutely nothing with it because it's so disjointed. Because I may see somebody's response, but not know what the original question was.
Right.
Because I don't follow that person or what have you. So I did nothing with it for 2 years. And then I went to a training again that had Alan November, and again he said, "If you're not on Twitter, you're a fool." I'm like, I got to do this. So I started following a couple hashtags that he recommended for all the various disciplines. And I think I got one idea from it from somebody, and I was hooked, because now there's this vast wealth of information. And because I teach at a rural school, there are no other Spanish teachers in my district who are big into sharing ideas. There's absolutely no world language training, even though I live in one of the bigger cities in the U.S. So pretty much I was an island unto myself, which is awful when you're a language teacher. I mean,
Right.
I was just getting no stimulation.
Do you use
at all.
TweetDeck to follow the hashtags? 'Cause
No,
I found that helpful as a way to follow the hashtags, and then things aren't so disjointed.
It's great, and I wish I could do it from my phone, because I do pretty much everything from my phone.
Oh, okay.
Now, because I always have it with me. So I started out just reading Twitter for maybe 5 minutes a day, and just letting, if I missed something, I missed it, but I was just going to scroll through for 5 minutes a day. I'd see something I liked, I'd add that person. And then as I went through this Blaine Ray conference, seminar, it's not really a conference, as I went through the seminar, I started looking for people who were using comprehensible input and using TPRS, and adding them and following who they were following, until I found who I believed were the best foreign language comprehensible input trainers in the country, and followed them religiously and saw everything I could follow. And I learned more things in 1 year of using Twitter than I had in the previous 13.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I learned more from Twitter than I did in my methods courses in college. I won't mention what college I went to, but
and I got to meet great teachers too.
Yeah, and also the advantage of Twitter is, I mean, I've private message, direct message Senor Woolley. I've had a chat with Senor Jordan, which, by the way, Senor Jordan also is into TPRS now. The grammar guru. With all of his grammar videos, he's into CI.
And they're so accessible. Sometimes they will tweet you back within a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I remember one time last year. It was during my prep period, and I was working. I needed to work on this quiz that I was going to give soon for one of my classes based on the stories. And I just sent you a direct message on Twitter from work, and then boom, you sent me the story. So I mean, these are the kind of opportunities that you have when you use Twitter very intentionally for professional development purposes.
And two of the coolest things that I've done weren't necessarily for me, but I had every time I've done something from an author like Senor Woolley or Carrie Toth, who's written a great amount of novels for Spanish learners. I try to have the kids tweet to them their enjoyment of what they've done, or if they drew a picture of one of the characters, I would tweet it to the author, and they would tweet back to the student. So it's engagement outside the classroom, which is a critical component in modern teaching. The other great thing is I show a lot of music videos in class, and I would take little snippets of my students singing the song, and I would tweet them out to the artist.
Awesome.
And you know, I've gotten tweets back and likes from world touring.
In Spanish
Latin
3, we
stars.
covered Senor Jordan's. This was before I discovered Blaine Ray, but we covered Senor Jordan's Indirect Object pronoun song, and
yes.
we got a retweet from him, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, but well, great. It's been nice talking to you, and I'm glad we could find this time during the conference to get something for the YouTube audience. Again, this is Schwabegot Productions, and I'm here with Greg Gross at Profe Gross. So follow us on Twitter, and we want to collaborate with language learning ideas and ways that we could improve our language teaching. Talk to you later.